Thank you for having me here. This is really a good-looking crowd. My gosh. Of course, the attorneys all say you have to do something. The overview is, first of all, we're going to talk about what is identity theft. There's actually a lot of confusion as to what it is. And then, how does it happen? And then what can you do? How can you deter it? How can you detect it? And then how can you defend yourself if you find out that you're a victim? And then how can you learn more? And then I have a list back there if you want receive my monthly newsletter on identity theft that you can sign up for. Hopefully, you're going to know how to limit your risk of being a victim of identity theft, how to monitor your identity monthly, and actually even more often than that, and the steps to take if credit or your identity is compromised. All the screens that look like this, these are provided by the FTC. The ones that don't have a screen that looks like that are the ones that I have added to their presentation. Identity theft occurs when someone gets a hold of your information and uses it fraudulently. Now, a lot of people have your social security number, have your information, but they never use it fraudulently, so then that doesn't become identity theft. It can cost you a lot of time and money. Different forms of identity theft have different risk to them and financial problems associated with them. Some are more expensive than others. Which one do you think would be the least expensive form of identity theft? Yeah, financial identity theft is actually the least expensive one because that's the one where the government's put all the rules where you're limited to what you're at risk for. But there's other forms where it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you're a victim. And then sometimes it can take you anywhere from 3 to 4 months to clear it up to 2 years or longer. There's one lady that I was talking with that she's actually an accountant that her identity was compromised. 5 years later, she still runs into the problem with her identity. It can destroy your credit and destroy your good name. It's just not limited to financial. Most people think of identity theft, they think of Target and all those credit cards and debit cards that were stolen. Or they think if someone's compromised their bank account. Well, actually, identity theft only occurs if someone creates an account in your name. If they steal an account that you already have, then that's either credit card or bank fraud. It's when they create and get services or credit in your name that you don't even know about. That's when it becomes identity theft. Different things like LifeLock and those type of, they have a limited use because they basically are only monitoring for financial identity theft. And most of them say they'll help you restore it because they don't get a power of attorney, so they can't truly fix it for you because they can't represent you with the DMV, with the Renown, with the Social Security Administration. So that's why they say we help you because they can't really truly themselves fix it. If you have really bad credit, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be a victim of identity theft because financial identity theft is only a small portion of identity theft. And it's definitely not a victimless crime because I think we probably have victims right here in this room. Financial identity theft, that's what everybody knows about, that they hear about, and that's what they think of when they think of identity theft. your Social Security number. If someone gets a hold of your Social Security number, they can get a job. And all of a sudden the IRS calls up and says, you haven't been paying taxes for the last 5 years on this job you have in Atlanta. Yeah. Oh, really? Boy, I'm unemployed. Me, I should fly to Atlanta and start working my job and get the paycheck. So if they also get your Social Security number, then they can get mortgages in your name. They can open up credit cards. So that's probably the golden key for identity theft thieves. Driver's license. Someone gets a hold of your driver's license, and then they're not going to Noreen's not going to steal Ike's driver's license, right? Because she can't pass herself off. But they're going to, actually there's swap meets in Texas and other states where people buy driver's licenses that have been stolen or have been created, and they'll look for one, oh, I look kind of like that person, and that's one they'll use. Then when they get pulled over, they say, oh yeah, I'm Joe, and they hand them that driver's license. Now, Joe is the one that gets the summons from the court when he doesn't show up, right? He's the one that has the court looking for him and the fines and everything. Now he has to prove it wasn't him that ran that stop sign. Or worse yet, it wasn't him that did the DUI. Nevada took and greatly improved the security of their driver's license, but I just found a flaw in their system where you can, if you go in and say, I'm going to change my address, they'll just mail you the corrected one, and they don't ask for the old one back. Want proof of that? Now let's see, here's one, and there is someplace in here I got the second one. So, there's a flaw in their system right now where someone can get the driver's license. Criminal identity theft. This is probably the most expensive one. Someone commits a crime in your name, saying that they're you because they either have a driver's license in your name, some type of identity, where then the police take that and then they commit the crime. There was a lady in San Francisco, retired ex-vice president of Wells Fargo, who someone got a hold of her information, and then in Denver went in and deposited forged checks. Well, this lady was good that did this because she made herself up to look like the victim. She practiced the victim's handwriting and signature. I mean, a true con one. And then she went in, and now the Denver police come and they arrest the victim. She had to hire a criminal attorney, cost her $50,000 in attorney fees, and all Denver said was, well, we're not going to drop the charges, but we think there's a reasonable doubt we can't convict you. So it's still an open case even after that. So the criminal identity theft can be the one that's the most expensive. It's estimated that there could be as many as 1,500 prisoners in LA County where they're victims of identity theft and they weren't the person that did the crime. Medical identity theft. This is probably the most dangerous of all identity thefts. What happens is someone goes in and they use your Medicare card or your insurance and get treatment. They go into the emergency room and they ask for ID, and the person, they're bleeding, and they says, I left that at home, I just ran out. Well, what's your name? Well, my name's John Smith. Oh yeah, you've been here, and they give the address. We got all your information right here, and they treat them. Different blood type gets mixed in with the medical records. Different allergies get mixed in because they always fill out that form. So then when you go in, and if they need a transfusion, there's a possibility of getting the wrong blood or getting medication that you're allergic to, but it doesn't say that now in your medical record. So that's why that one's the most dangerous of all. Now, do you think that a credit monitoring service is going to find that one? Business and commercial identity theft. This is, actually I had a business down in Tucson where we are almost a victim of this. Someone came in with a PO and wanted to buy about $50,000 worth of laptops. It just didn't seem right for me, so I checked and decided, no, we're not going to do this. I don't think this is legit. But one of my competitors did it. And the PO was stolen from one of the local companies, and it really wasn't, legit. So the other company got stuck, and luckily I didn't. The Social Security Administration, in their wisdom, post people who have deceased with their name and their information, their Social Security number, right online. So then someone will go in and they will get that information and then use that. Before it's even posted, a lot of times, through the obituaries, they'll get the information. And they've gone as far as breaking into someone's house in such a way that you don't know they're there, getting the life insurance policies, changing the beneficiary on it. And a lot of times, many couples don't know of all the life insurance, or the kids don't know what life insurance policies that the father or mother had. So the thief gets the money, and they never even know it even existed. Synthetic identity theft. This is when a thief takes and uses your Social Security number, creates another name and another birth date, another address, and creates a whole new individual. This is really tied in with child identity theft. Child identity theft is probably one of the fastest growing areas, because if they can get a 1-year-old's Social Security number and information, a lot of times it won't show up until they change 18 years old and they go out on their own and they're trying to get credit and do things on their own. So they get to use that for 17 years. The FTC in January of 2013 commissioned a study. They wanted to find out what's going on with child identity theft. They found that children under the age of 18 are 51 times more likely to be a victim of identity theft than an adult. Do you think that right now, currently, all children in the United States are under age 18? Do you think that 2.3% of them are currently victims, 10.1%, or 25.6%? Which do you think? You think it's 20? I'm glad it's not 25. It's actually 10.1% are currently victims. The parents can't check, because if they want to go in and check and see if there's a credit report or on their child, they go in and what do they ask you? Name, birth date, Social Security number, and address. Synthetically, the thieves uses that child's Social Security number and created a whole new individual. So they don't know, and they're going to use not the age of the child because they can't get a mortgage, a 1-year-old can't. They're going to make the age between 18 and 22 when the system expects them to come into the system. When do you think that the credit bureaus get your information? The very first time is with the first application for credit. So the thieves are the first one. They go in with this name, birth date, address, and Social Security number that they create. So when other parents go in and try to do a credit report, they don't know the birth date, they don't know the address, they don't know the name that's actually being used, and they'll come up and says, no record found. It's not until the child applies for student loans to go into college that they get rejected because they have $250,000 worth of debt against their Social Security number. And now it's going to take a couple of years for them to get it fixed, so they might as well go in the military and have the military pay for their education and hope we're done with Afghanistan by then. So there's really, the parents need to do something, and there's different services do have the ability to go in and do a data header check and look for only the Social Security number, where the parent doesn't have that ability to do that. So that's where the value of those monitoring services do come in, when they have the ability to go in and do it for the children. Cloning and assumption. This is when someone, now it doesn't have to be an illegal alien that uses someone's identity to become that person because they're here illegally. It also could be a felon who wants to start over, a pedophile who is registered, who wants to get, start totally over and not have a new life. They'll totally assume that person's identity, and they'll be in a different part of the country, and then when they take and their credit and everything just totally gets mixed in. So if you're doing a credit check and you find an address on there that you've never lived there, you want to find out what's going on with that address. Because it could be that someone's opened up an account and used that other address, or it could be as far as they've totally assumed that your identity. They can access your existing accounts. If they have the information, you go in and you try to correct it, and they come back in and uncorrect it. They can open up new financial accounts, open non-financial accounts like a cell. Now, in the synthetic one with child identity theft, that's what they start with. They'll go into Kohl's. What's the first thing when you're at the cashier at Kohl's ask you? Do you want a credit card? They'll say, oh, sure. And they give that fake information. They'll say, oh, you don't have credit yet. I'm just starting out. And they says, well, we can only give it to you for $50. They've started. Now they go into Macy's, the same questions. Oh yeah, well, you look like you have some really good credit here. We make it for $500. Now they go into AT&T Wireless and get a cell phone. And then they get a car loan. And then they get, they build it. And they'll actually pay those until they get it up to a high enough amount. And then that's when they skip. Now they're not only doing that with just one identity. They may be running 20 or 25 or 100 at one time. Acquire credit cards, loans and line of credit, get a driver's license, or actually the mecca, if they can get a passport in your name. Now they really have something where they can say that they're you. Now, why would an identity thief file bankruptcy? Let's say they've totally assumed your information, and they're now president of the Rotary in their town. Their wife might even not know that they aren't John Smith. His kids may not know. Therefore, he's going to do everything to try and keep that lifestyle and that particular identity, so they'll file bankruptcy, which then the actual other person gets hit with that on their record. There's really only one good way to prevent tax identity theft, and that's to file your taxes as early as you possibly can. Because the first one to file wins, right? If the thief files, and even though you owe money, but they do it in such a way that they get money, and then you file, it's going to come up and says, wait a minute, you've already filed. Now, I always recommend try to owe the government money, because they're going to be much faster in fixing it if you owe them than if they owe you, right? So it can take 2 or 3 years to straighten that out. All they need to do is get a hold of your last year's tax. So is yours in a file that's locked up under lock and key? Because identity thief with picks can come into your house as faster than you can unlock your door, come in, find that information, take out their smartphone, make pictures of it, and then put everything back the way it was, and then leave. And you'll never know they were there. They're not going to take anything else because they just got what they wanted. As we talked before, fraud is when they use your existing accounts. Identity theft is when they use your current accounts, or when they create new accounts in your name. I'm sorry. How does it happen? Well, we all know about the ones where they hack into Target, Neiman Marcus, Boomtown, different companies. Michael's was an interesting one. The thieves came in as technicians who were going to service their swipe machines. PO and everything that would look like it was issued by the home office. They came in, they opened up the machines, put a little chip in, closed it up, and then came back a month later to do some more service, took those little chips out they had for a month's worth of information. When new gas pumps are put in, there's a master key. If they don't change that master key out, then the thieves who have a master key can come to that night when they're closed, open up the gas pump, put the chip recording information in, close it up, come back a week later at night, open it up, pull the chip out. Now they have all the information for that entire week on that chip. And you would never know. How would you know? It's inside. Which then brings me to, should you be using a debit card or should you be using a credit card? Ike, here's $1. There you are. Noreen, I'm going to give you an IOU. There you are. Which is more valuable, having the dollar or the IOU? Yeah, you already have it, my gosh. Now from my perspective, though, I just changed my mind. I don't want these two people to have the dollar. So I'm going to say to Noreen, I'm just not going to pay you that IOU. Ike, I'm going to say, I want my dollar back, and Ike says, no, it's my dollar now. I'm going to keep this dollar. Well, the same thing with debit card and credit card. Your credit card gets compromised, and you call up the credit card company and says, that's not my charge, I'm not paying it. Okay. Your debit card gets compromised, and they take the money out of your bank account. Now you have to call the bank and say, bank, please put my money back. Bank, please reverse those non-sufficient funds charges that you hit me with. Bank, please call the mortgage company and tell them that I'm really not a deadbeat. Right? So which one would you rather have happen? Have the credit card stolen or the debit card? Credit card, right? Now, better yet, use cash. Now, anybody here ever give your credit card to someone and they take off and gone for 15 minutes, 20 minutes and with your credit card? Did it ever happen to anybody? Restaurants all the time, right? That's one big source of identity theft in restaurants because they have it and they have little things they can put on their cell phone now, swipe the card and get all the information and have it right now. Or they just take out their smartphone, both sides, now they have that information. So make sure that you're using credit cards and not your debit cards, even though the banks are all trying to get you to use the debit cards. Also, the federal laws protecting you for credit cards are better than for debit cards. A credit card, you have 30 days from the date of the statement that it appears on. For a debit card, you have to notify them technically within 2 days, or you're liable for $50. If you are over 30 days, you're liable for the entire amount. So most banks handle it the same way they do credit cards. but they don't have to. The federal laws are different. Worse than the debit card is actually carrying around your checkbook and having your check stolen, because they have those 2 sets of numbers on the bottom, and that's all they need to all of a sudden start draining your account. So you don't want your checking, you don't want to be carrying checks around with you. So what can you do? You can deter, do things that will make you less of a victim, possibility of being a victim. Constantly be looking to detect and then what to do when you're a victim. Let someone else be that low-hanging fruit. As more difficult as you can make it, it's easier to pick the nice red apple right here. But if it's 20 feet in the air, the thieves are going to take the easy pickings first. So you can shred. Believe it or not, my wife does shred our Christmas cards. But what's a lot of time in the Christmas card or Christmas card letter? Oh, we just had Joe's 65th birthday last 4th of July, or maybe the mother's maiden name is somewhere in there. So there's different information you have to think about that thieves can use. Protect your Social Security number. Don't carry it in your wallet. The problem with Medicare is your Social Security number is on the card. I suggest you take a photocopy of it and then cross everything off but the last 4 numbers of it, and then go that route. Don't carry your Social Security number with you, your card with you in your wallet. If you have grandchildren, make sure that you tell the parents, don't carry the kids' Social Security cards around. Also, a lot of times when someone asks you for the Social Security number, leave it blank. Many times they won't ask you for it. Come back. It's just that form, they're so used to it, but they really don't need it. So try not to give out your Social Security number. Military, up until July of 2012, had their Social Security number on their military ID. The new cards created after that no longer have the Social Security number. Don't use obvious passwords. Don't use your dog's name or your grandchild's name. Use something that you can remember, but it'd be difficult. Make sure that it's 8 characters long and has a number, uppercase, lowercase letter, and if they allow it, some type of special character. The reason I say that is if it's only lowercase letters and it's 6 characters long, a regular PC can break that in 15 seconds. If it's 8 characters long, having upper and lowercase, a number, and a special character, it'll take that same PC 1,000 years. Just that one little change. Do you think your email password is important? What happens if you forget your password to your bank? They email you a link to change it, right? So if the thief has your email, then they can go in, try to get into your account. Oh, I forgot the password. They'll get emailed, and now they have it, or at least the link to change it. Have some place where you can lock up your important papers. Filing cabinet, fire safe that locks, someplace where you can lock them up. So cleaning people, someone that's there fixing the refrigerator, carpet cleaners, whatever, can't easily find it. Or if someone targets you and breaks in, they can't get to it easily. When you do purchase online, make sure you use only major websites. If you don't know it, don't do it. Make sure that it has the HTTPS designation that's secured and encrypts the information going back and forth. If it doesn't have that, it's not a legit site. do not access secured sites in a hotspot at Starbucks. Because if you don't have to use a password, then the information that's transferred back and forth is not encrypted. Even if it is a password, it can, they know what the general password is, and they can get information. They can just sit in their van out in front of the Starbucks and get all the information they want. Logins, passwords. Try not to use public computers like at the library for secured areas. If you do, make sure you go in and delete the browsing history. This is not as common as it was for a couple years ago, but for a while, credit cards had this neat little radio chip in it that all you had to do was just wave your card at Taco Bell as you were going through, and that would get the information. Well, that's kind of convenient for the thief. They can just walk by you with a $100 scanner, walk by, and every credit card that has that in your wallet, they now have everything. So, I've always recommended if you have one of those cards that has that radio chip in it, ask for a new card. Now, the banks are coming out with the European style one that will be a chip in there, but it's a different type of chip where you actually insert your card and you pull it out. That's very, very secure. And the banks are going to be going toward that. The problem is all the merchants have to change all their swiping machines. So it's going to take a while for that to become big here. But it's almost 100% in Europe now. Be careful with your checks. Use cash whenever you can. That reminds me, I got a debt I got to pay off. Can I have that IOU back, please? Oh, okay, thank you. We talked about use credit cards instead of debit cards whenever you can. What can you do to, another thing that most people don't know is you can opt out of letting the credit bureaus sell your information. Know those little things you get in the mail that says you're pre-approved for a $6,000 credit card? That's where they got that information. If they don't buy, they can't buy it, then those are going to drastically cut down. Once I opted out about 3 years ago, and I haven't received one of those since. You can also opt out at the Direct Marketing Association and tell them that you don't want to receive junk mail. You can you can also call this number and tell them that you don't want to receive soliciting calls. The exception to that is political campaigns, charities, and anybody you currently have a business account with. They can still call you. Those politicians, sure, they write exceptions into that. They don't pay any postage for all that stuff they mail us. That started way back. I think that's called, the Franking Law? Another thing that you can do, you can freeze your credit. In Nevada, if you're over age 65 or you're an identity theft victim, you can freeze your credit for free. If you're not in that category, it costs you $10 for each credit bureau and to freeze it, and then $10 to unfreeze it if you want to get a car loan or something. But what that does is it makes it nearly, no one can check your credit. They can't open new accounts once you've frozen your credit. Innovis, all they do is sell your information. So you don't necessarily have to freeze that one. Military, since the military in their wisdom had the Social Security number on all the IDs and all the orders and everything for years, the government set up an active duty alert where someone was going to be out of the country, they could put on their credit that they are out of the country. So all of a sudden, while they're in Afghanistan, a car loan in Atlanta in their name can't happen. So there's been special things set up for the military called active duty alert. On your Medicare, don't carry it if you don't need to. Make a copy of it and cross off the Social Security number. How can you detect? You can set up alerts on your credit cards at your bank saying, I want to know when my password's been changed. I want to know when my address has been changed. Many of them, the major banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, you can set up where you can get an email every time there's a charge to your account or there's a deposit. Always, you know when you're receiving your statements, if they're all of a sudden it doesn't show up, what could that be an indication of? Someone's gone in and changed the address so that you wouldn't know, or they've stolen it out of your mailbox so you wouldn't know what was going on. If you get a denial for credit for no reason, something could be going on. You can get your free credit reports, and the addresses or the websites are on here from each one of the major credit bureaus every 12 months. What does that mean? That means that actually every 4 months you could get a different one. One from TransUnion, and another one from Equifax 4 months later, and another one from Experian another 4 months, and then repeat it constantly and get those free ones all the time. To be able to look and see, wait a minute, what's going on here? I don't have a credit card with Wakachuka Bank or whatever it is. Any financial statements you have, make sure you check those. Because you're your own best defense. Every month, check those. You can set up the alerts because on debit cards you only have 2 days technically. You have 60 days actually on a credit card, 30 days on checking. You can set low negative balances, they'll let you know about. They'll let you know about when deposits are, withdrawals have processed. They also address change, telephone number change, password changes. They'll let you know if any of those events have happened. There's other records that you can get. For $7, you can get your driving history from Nevada Department of Transportation. In California, it's a $2 online fee. Check systems, they're the people, you open up a new checking account or a new bank account, that's what the banks run to see if you've got any fraud going on, whether you've bounced checks. You can actually get that same report. You want that report to come back as no record found. Because if it finds a record, that means that there's not good stuff going on. And it means someone's opened up a bank account in your name. This is what you should do if you find out that you're a victim. First of all, you want to set up a fraud alert with the credit bureaus. And then you want to close any of the accounts that have been tampered with. Get a new credit card. Then you can go to the FTC site and you can actually then get an affidavit which you can document everything that's happened. Then you would file a police report. That's when you take the affidavit. Then they'll make a copy of it. You write your Social Security number on it, and then they'll attach that to the police report, and they'll save a lot of time. At that point, if you want, you can ask them for a file or a form where you can get a special ID from the state that says you are a victim of identity theft. You can, what I suggest is once you find out that you're a victim of identity thief, place a credit freeze. If you're a victim, it's free. If you're over 65, it's free. Then you file Form 14039 with the IRS. What this will do is the IRS will send you a separate PIN that's needed to file the taxes. You've also already told them that you're a victim, and they'll look in, someone tries to steal your tax refund, they're going to be watching it much more closely. And then in Nevada, you can get a special ID that proves that you're an identity theft victim. You can get more from the FTC, privacyrights.org, Better Business Bureau, BBB.org, my website, and onguardonline.gov, which is a part of the FTC that deals only with identity theft. You can call this, or you can write to the FTC. So do you feel that you know how you can help to limit your theft of your identity? Think that are you going to be looking at those monthly statements that you get? So what are you going to be using when you go and buy something? Cash or credit card? No, debit card, if you can help it. Now, if you're a victim, you have an idea of what to do.